Right. Checking the gate. Make sure everything's good. And I think we are good. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Welcome to another Jedi Academy. I am Ranger J1999, your host and part of the RSU crew. And welcome to another edition of Jedi Academy, where we answer your Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes questions. If you're new and wondering what the Jedi Academy is, this is a Q&A show. And the way it works is if you have a question, all you need to do is put your question in the chat. Make sure you put question in front of your statement. Again, it is just little me scooping up everything today, like always. So if you have questions, feel free to put those in, and we will have our panel answer it. And that's what we do. We bring all the best and brightest YouTubers and game changers and whatnot here. And we're here to answer your questions. And that's how it kind of works. So I hope everyone's having a good morning. I know there's still a lot going on. We've got Grand Arena Championships that just locked in. I had to put my defense down and streamed it on Twitch yesterday. So, yeah. So we had a lot. I'm sure there's a lot on people's minds. So I'm sure there'll be lots of questions. So go ahead and get your questions in. Make sure you put a question in front of your statement, and we will get to those questions. Now, I don't know where the rest of the Jedi Academy is today, but we do have one person here, and that's Zylo Takedown. Zylo, what's going on, brother?
Hey, good morning. What's up, everybody?
And don't you worry, Zylo. If we have to, we'll answer every damn question here. Damn it.
Yeah, we got this, right? We can do this.
That's
MC
right.
Strong, right?
That's right. MCMW represent. So we will definitely get to every question you guys got. Paparazzi says, "What's a game changer?" That's true. Former game changers. The program is no more. It is ceased to be. It is henceforth gone. So, so if you would like, please get your questions in, and we will start scooping those up. So there you go. All right, what's going on in the game? I know Grand Arena's kind of taking over everything, Zylo. Oh lordy, I had so many questions yesterday about Grand Arena, just looking at teams, stuff of that nature. I don't know if you've been getting a ton of those for your channel and stuff like that.
Yeah, Grand Arena, it's definitely taken another step forward with championships, right? And the 8 teams, and well, we're gonna have to get our feet in here and see what happens, right? I'm excited for today, and I can't wait, man.
And it's been a while since we had new content. I really like everything I'm seeing from Grand Arena Championships, the rewards. It's looking good, and I like that they're doing exhibitions first. You know, a small one, and then on a larger scale before they actually get into the Grand Arena Championships to work out bugs, things of that nature, right? So I think that's really good the way they're doing it.
No, yeah, and this is also like a great opportunity for them to capitalize on not just the matchmaking, but the ranking system.
Yeah,
it's going to be very important. You know, like when you noticed once you joined and saw yourself kind of dropping and raising in the tier bracket, it's definitely that algorithm taking effect. So we'll see how this exhibition round goes.
Right? Yeah. So we'll take a look at that. What else is on your mind this week, man?
I'm really excited for Geonosis TV. I'm really excited for Brood Alpha. I'm really excited, for this new game mode too as well. Not trying to overshadow it with Grand Arena, of course, but both of them very exciting. And the Brood Alpha character too. I'm really excited just to see how we're going to get our hands on it, and if it's going to be like a chase event, or they're going to release it straight away like they did with Captain Han Solo, for example. So we'll see what happens.
All right, well, should we start answering questions? I don't know where the rest of the panel is. I'm pretty sure I did my thing. Let me look. I did do my thing. Oh, wait, I think we had someone else join. There's Warrior. Hello, Warrior.
How's it going? Sorry I didn't jump on 5 minutes ago. I just driving.
Yeah, you need a coffee, a croissant.
Figured you wouldn't necessarily want the background noise of a vehicle, so I had to wait till I got to work.
Hey, there you go. As long as you're comfy and in a nice, safe space, where that's all that matters. And I need to change your name again because... oh, Jesus. Hold on here. How do I... why can't it let me... Let me do this. More, rename... There we go. Now people know that it's you, Warrior. Mr. War, are you excited for Grand Arena Championships? What's on your mind for the game this past week?
So all in all, I suppose I'm as excited as it can be. Grand Arena never was anything that I was super, super stoked about, but
Sure.
I've kind of embraced it and come to kind of enjoy it sort of most of the time. I'm not a huge fan of Territory Wars and Grand Arena running simultaneously. I feel like I have to click like every segment of the game and then go into every segment and look at every single option and click on every single box in the entire, area to make sure I'm like not missing out on an event or, have I entered this? Are there raids going on that I have forgot to hit join to? And did I hit this on Territory Wars? Was that Grand Arena I joined? Or, just too much going on at once every day. And I have 2 accounts now, my Scissor Man and my main. So I get a bit actually stressed out when I go into the game to try and make sure that I'm checking all my T's and dotting all my I's. You know what I mean? It just, it's kind of almost too much simultaneousness for me. But aside from my OCD nature, trying to make sure I'm like in everything, I'm embracing it. I think that it's going to be good. I think that there's finally going to be some sort of a level base that you can now kind of see where you stand. I mean, I think people who have those just stupid mods I can't compete with will beat my ass, excuse my language, at the very beginning, and then they'll move forward and I'll just get to stay put. And then the people who are, below me that are probably got similar mods to me that are beating people below me are going to get to where I'm at, and then we're going to compete. And so I'm hoping this whole thing will kind of level out the playing field to the middle, near the middle to end of each of these like 7-day championships. It is weird, in my opinion, that the championships reset every single time, that you don't like earn a status and keep a status, that you kind of earn it and then lose it every single time. I mean, they'll track like your previous successes, but
yeah,
I think once you kind of earn something, you should be able to kind of stay there. I mean, the guys that have, the 400 plus 20 speed mods should, once they're in Kyber, stay the hell in Kyber with the other guys that have 400 plus 20 speed mods. I don't really feel like them going back to Bronzium is fair, because they get a lot of points really fast and easy, all because they had better mods from the outset. I kind of feel like once you're in a category, you should stay in that category until you earn your way into a new category. But that's just me and my natural fairness mentality, aspect. And then the new characters are coming, so that's cool. I think Brood Alpha will be a Cantina farm, just like Captain Han Solo was. So I'm sure that we'll have to grind a Cantina.
Yeah, I think so
pretty
too.
Cool.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. So that's cool. I'm excited. That's like one of my favorite characters they've ever brought into the game, just simply because of the way he looks. And I like my Geos. I've always had an affinity for my Geos, so pretty excited about that. So all in all, I'm pretty happy. I don't know yet if the rewards are going to be worth it for Grand Arena. If there's more rewards than what they're showing, which there should be, then it probably will be, like prize boxes and things like that. But if what we see is what we get, then honestly, they haven't incentivized it quite enough for it to be worthwhile. But it's the same thing we've been doing Grand Arena. It's just now we're going to get some bragging rights, so to speak, kind of on it. And now there's some like challenges that we get to kind of do, which will give us something to at least shoot for. That might give us, some superficial extra stuff. So,
yeah, and between as you progress each league, you get rewards too. So I like that. I was just saying to Zal, I like that they're doing an exhibition like a 1 week, and then they're doing a test run exhibition the one after that before they actually really launch it to work out any bugs and kinks and stuff like that. I think that's a smart play on their part. All right, we have
real quick too before we move on.
Yes.
I wanted to get Warrior's intake on this one. You know how they've released the new gear piece, and you have to be in the Chromium League to buy the new Gear 13 or Gear 12 finisher, I should say. Do you think like potentially down the road that they could add like characters into higher tiers, like the Rhodium tier or anything like that, or like the Negotiator? Even the screenshots have been going around. Like I'm sure you guys have seen the screenshots of the negotiator going into the guild event store, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm 100% positive they're going to tier restrict certain things, and they'll do that. So, hold on, I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you.
Sorry, I had to sneeze.
Yeah, bless you.
I muted it in time. I think they're going to do that because what it forces people to do is, I think if you've got any kind of modicum of like activity, you're going to go out of that first tier and into the second tier. I think anyone that just says, screw this Grand Arena, I ain't participating, is going to stay at the bottom, and they won't have access to some of the cool things like Gear 13 finisher pieces and new characters, new ships, things like that. And that'll be to their own demise. They're going to create an incentive to participate. So I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think they're going to restrict too heavily, like if they put it in the Kyber League only kind of thing or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be like, oh my
God.
God.
Had to be Kyber to get that. I think that would be... that actually would be unequivocally the reason why I would quit the game if they did that, because unfortunately with Grand Arena, it does not have to do 100% with execution and skill. You can theory craft and have skill all day, and you can be good at what you're doing. You can practice all day long. But when your counter to a team or your counters to a particular team can't win because you're flat out just outmodded, you're just flat out outmodded. And mods aren't fair in the sense that there are some people that don't try, so it's just shame on them for not trying to get mods and slicing and things like that. But there's a lot of us who do, farm for mods and slice mods every single day. And we have been since the inception of mods. And we still don't have mods that compare to certain people. I have people in my guild who I kick butt on, and I have other people in my guild who I couldn't stand. I mean, if you go into a territorial war, this. They go, target somebody that has similar mods to you, and then you've got your like superior modded people in your guild that go against their superior modded people, vice versa. And that's why territorial wars was so fun, because we could cherry pick who we fought to make sure that our battle was mod wise fair, and that's good. With Grand Arena, there isn't any of that. If you don't have the better mods, it doesn't matter what you know or how you execute, you're going to still lose. And fine, I won't get Kyber rewards, whatever, I don't care. But if you put something that I can't get because of modding, which is a RNG fest, then I would just probably end up quitting the game.
Yeah, because then it would just be like you're splitting hairs every time you play a match, or like you're set up to lose your opening match or something like that before you can even get to the final match. So, and then the bracketing system too. Like if you're not spending heavily, like every month, it seems like you're not even gonna break that plus 500 bracket range or like plus 500 ranking system, especially in like the first or second division, right?
We'll have to wait and see. All right, we got questions. Here we go. Helenex is the first one. It says, I was chatting with a big Pappy Patron after this GAT podcast. And make sure you put the pause in there. And must reiterate, Grande is a heck of a great dude. Wouldn't y'all agree? Yes, Grande is great. He's the idiot savant of RSG. All right, so let's see here. First question. Okay, here we go. Paparazzi has got a question. We'll start with you, Warrior, and just work our way around the horn like we always do. Question: what are some tips and tricks for running slow Padme, Warrior?
I don't really know if there's any necessary tips or tricks other than you basically want Padme to be slower than the rest of the team, the opposing team. So kind of a safe bet with her is, keep her between 200 and 220, because most people's arena teams have plus 100 speeds or more on all their characters. Even their slow characters, a lot of times will get like a plus 80 to a plus 100. And so it's going to put them all between 200, 220 minimum. A lot of times they're more. So getting her to that 200 to 220, and then just jacking the whole team up with health. Obviously, her lead, that's the whole point, is a ton of health. The reason why for her to be slower, though, is obvious. I think everyone knows is the first time she goes, she's going to throw up her cleanse, which is going to get rid of all the crap that they just unloaded. And when they take all their turns, it's enough to cripple your team, but not kill your team ever. Like, I've never lost even one person in that. So, it looks devastating. because they go first and do all these crazy debuffs. But then you just cleanse, and then instantly you're now in control, and you get to start going. Plus the courage buff starts to, build up, and you have characters, mollywopping for insane amounts. So you still have to play it slow and methodically, and you have to practice. The one thing that is true, people get good at arena, right? Because you play the arena team and you lose, and you're like, damn it, how did I lose? Like, it's that character that always gets me, that character. So then you start focusing on that character, or you say, if I could just get rid of him first and then that person. And so you build your own strategy. And there's more than one way to skin a cat. You don't have to, always play it exactly how other people play it, but you'll start to see patterns arise as you play, and you'll have to start creating workarounds to those patterns to win. And after you've practiced enough that you kind of created your own kill order in your mind, you will then have consistency. If your guild leader says, hey, use your Padme team to take out Darth Revan, and you've never done it, you're going to go in and get beat because you don't know what you're doing, because you don't know kill order and you don't know the nuances to the battle. The only way you're going to learn that is to take your Padme team into arena and just play it. Spend 50 crystals on a refresh, do 5 battles a day for 2 or 3 days to learn the team, to really learn the intricacies of all the characters and when you should use her basic, someone's basic versus their special, because their special will actually cause protection up versus, their basic kind of thing, and the dispel you can create on basic, blah, blah, blah. So you just have to make sure that you're learning what you're doing and play it against differing, teams. I played against Jedi Knight Revan's team because I actually see that more in arena as a counter, because we use different counters. So anyway, you just have to practice. But the slow team, it's all about health, and it's all about her being just a little bit slower than the opponent.
All right. Question for, we're going to use Zilo. Paparazzi again question: how do I decide between using defense or health mods, or some of each, on the tank?
Well, I mean, you got to look at, like, what do you want for the tank in particular? Like, is he going to be more of a magnet type character that's going to be, taking that damage, or is that character driving around like health protection regeneration mechanics, right? So, like, for example, like under the boss lead, like the boss lead heals health protection inside and outside of your own character's turns, right? So, like, boss can want him with a lot of health protection, for example, secondaries, or like Padme team, again, perfect example, right? Like you're putting a bunch of health on them, as opposed to like putting defense on GK as the tank in that team. Some good examples for like defensive mods. Your Darth Malik right there. I mean, if he can take a couple of hits, then he's not taking as much damage. You got some good properties there. Another good tank maybe that speaks out to me would be like Treya. She's not particularly a tank, but like she gets modded for that tank. She just takes damage, drops down to the red, and builds right back up. Darth Sion in that team too as well. Like, I like crit avoidance and defense on Darth Sion, give him more survivability, be that magnet for that team. Baze Malbus, maybe a lot of health protection over defense because he's regenerating health protection consistently. There's a couple different examples. Like, you just want to look at the mechanics again first.
All right. Next question. We'll go back to you, Warrior. Question from Paparazzi. Question: in this GA, I was paired with opponents very, very close to me in character GP. Has CG implemented their new and improved matchmaking yet, or is it still best to keep our GP slim?
I'm pretty sure they implemented that actually a few GAs ago, kind of quietly under the hood, to try to, make that better. I'm pretty sure that was already rolled out. And this GA, everything's been kind of reset, so to speak. So everything should be pretty close as far as GP goes. But I'm pretty sure they rolled that fix out under the hood, so to speak, like kind of silently a few grand arenas ago to test it and see how it worked out. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it happened. In fact, I think I saw something about that, a couple of months ago, that they were going to be rolling that out last month. So it should be relatively fair GP wise, and that goes specifically to like ships versus character GP, that kind of thing. So that way you're not getting, for example, I complained about having 500,000 GP characters and 500,000 GP ships, and being paired against someone that has 1 million GP characters with no GP ships is not really fair when it's just a character only battle kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I can't compete with that when they've got 15 Gear 12 and 15 Zetas, and I have, 3 Zetas and no Gear 12 kind of thing. So I think that that's been rolled out, but I could be wrong.
All right. Next question for you, Xylo from Briaris Aegon. Question: what do you guys think about some matchups for Grand Arena having people sitting different number of teams on defense in the same matchup? Doesn't that put people at disadvantage? Yeah, I've heard about that. Like some people from different divisions are facing one another. Kind of a boo-boo there. That's something they need to fix.
Well, and then that's why this is an exhibition. We were talking about this a little before the show too. Like the matchmaking seems pretty decent, but again, I've heard a couple others, like Macias, for example. Macias has referenced this particular bug, if you want to call it that. I mean, it is uneven. Like, for example, like in past Grand Arenas, you could go in and with the ships Grand Arena, for example, you could put down just one ship's team and then still win on offense and have more banners, like mathematically, like because they can only attack the one team being your ship's team, and they can only get so many banners on offense, and vice versa. It makes up for you not placing as many teams down on defense. So it's similar mechanic, different setup, right? Like 7 versus 8. Mathematically, you're giving 90 banners for each team on defense. Those 90 banners, give somebody a complete disadvantage just putting that one extra team down. So
yeah. All right. A couple questions for Warrior here. First one from Crispy Biscuits. Love the name. Question for Warrior. I have enough gear to do either Magna or Jordica for my GG team. Who is better for now to prioritize? The team is General Grievous, B1, B2, and Newt Gunray so far.
I would say Droidica. If played right, Droidica's, in my opinion, the better, basically tank of the two, because of the damage immunity and the insane damage stack that he can provide. Magna Guard's new kind of touch-up or rework that they just did just a couple days ago does make him a little bit more viable. He got actually a massive boost of protection because he was one of those old characters that they said they're going to just dump a bunch of protection in a bunch of the old legacy characters to try to make them slightly more viable. So I've got over 80,000 protection on him now without even trying. He just all of a sudden he has it. So he's super tanky. He can allow the team to go stealth, forcing you to actually hit him at the start of battle, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, his touch-up makes him definitely a better choice. I mean, this question a month ago wouldn't have been a question. It would have been Droidica 100%. Now it's kind of a toss-up. But I've done the gear for both of them, and Magna is worse, way worse for the older gear, like the stun gun, stun cuffs, Carbonti load, like the old, linchpins, whereas Deca isn't. But Deca has a lot of the newer stuff that is more complex, and so they're both just terrible farms as far as gear goes.
All right. Another one for you, Warrior, from Paparazzi. Question for Warrior. Can you explain how you decided to mod your Galactic Republic team? In particular, why is your GK stacked with tenacity mods?
Well, so she's looking at my stuff. That's awesome. So
I look at your stuff all the time, Warrior. It's glorious.
She's stalking me. So the reason why I have a ton of tenacity on GK is he is a tank. And so because he's a tank, I need him. He's going to take a lot of damage. And actually, I have him Zeta'd, which means that not only does he tank every single time somebody takes a crit damage, but now he tanks every time somebody loses some bonus protection, which is always. So he basically just taunts until he's dead. It never stops with him. And so because of that, you've got to make sure that he's tanky, that he can really take it. And in Grand Arenas, territory wars and arenas and stuff, health is important in that team, really important in that team. But because he's a tank, protection does go a long way. So I try to do a lot of health but I also have a lot of protection on him to try to, build that protection shell. And then I put a ton of tenacity on him for a couple of reasons. One, he in the past has always been a tank where tenacity benefited, and two, it's still true, rings true to this day. There is going to be a ton of characters plopping him, and they're all going to be applying debuffs. And when you've got 150% tenacity, and they have, let's say, for example, Basti has like 40 to 60% potency always. That's the most that she ever has, because people are like modding her for speed. So they're lucky if they get some secondary potency on there, but most of the time they're not modding for potency because they're modding for speed. And they're doing the very best speeds that they have, which means the potency is probably trash a lot of times. So, let's say they have the 40, 50%, potency on there. They have an ability has an inherent 100% ability, 100% ability to do that. And so she's at basically 150% potency with her potency plus the natural inherent 100%, minus the tenacity off of that 100%. There's a 0% chance she's going to apply a debuff to my guy. Now, the computer has a hardwired pre-programmed 15%, so I can't get around that, but I have effectively eliminated any debuff capability on my character. You're not going to debuff him unless the computer, the RNG says it's your lucky day. That's it. So I'm nullifying any potential potency that you have on your team and eliminating all of the debuff potentials. This is important when it's a tank because, for example, if you stun him, he's not exactly the fastest character. He's then no longer going to be able to use his cleanse or his call to assist or all the other cool things that his kit does, and he's just sitting there in a stun position looking like a statue. So when you prevent those things from occurring, he gets to take his actual turns more frequently, and speed becomes less relevant for him because he's not affected by those debuffs that would otherwise affect his turn, such as stagger and stun and things like that. So tenacity is super important. I would venture to say there is not a tank out there that does not benefit from tenacity. I think they all benefit from tenacity. It's just a matter of what's more important. Mm-hmm. With him, for me, what's more important is tenacity.
There you go.
Well, so real quick too, where I still have my Treya modded for Jedi Knight Rev encounters, right? And she has the crit avoidance arrow, tenacity cross. Would you think that'd still be a good setup for him, even in that Padme build?
Yeah, I think critical avoidance, as long as you slice it to 60, so you get that extra boost of crit avoidance to really make it worth your while. I think that's also valid on any tank as well. It's like tenacity. It's valid on any tank as well. The problem is sometimes you get a tank, let's say we're talking Malik in Arena, that bottom line, the crit avoidance is dope, but, you're like, that would help, but it doesn't really matter as much as speed. So I'm going to toss a 30 speed arrow on him because it makes more sense. Just because I make a choice doesn't make it a wrong choice. It just makes it a strategic choice. So, putting defense on a tank is smart, but it doesn't mean you're always going to put defense on every tank. You might put tenacity. But that's where it's left up to the personal preference. You know what I mean? That's the beautiful thing about mods.
What you have
I just wish, right. I just wish some of the rarest, like for example, if you roll a mod, defense rolls higher. There's a thing on Reddit that shows the drop rates of all the different stats in the secondary slots and how they drop. So they tracked it for a long ass time, and they show like exactly what drops and how often. And like offense flat, offense percent, speed now drops lower than anything. When I first started doing mods, that wasn't the case. If speed rolled, it would just roll, 6, 6, 6. And you would get like awesome rolls on it. Now it's like a 3, and then you don't get any more rolls. They've balanced the rolling out, which is cool, except for it kind of grandfathers in some really amazing mods in the past most people will never have access to.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Unless unless it's your 1 in a million mod that you are blessed to have, because they do still give a few of those out. So I don't know. I just think it's yeah. But I do think that your modding is correct. It's just a personal preference choice.
All right. Okay. Question for you, Xylo from Paparazzi. Question: what's the best 5th for a Padme team?
Ooh, those are all over. Well, I think the best 5th is 3PO. It's just he's a more flexible character that you can afford to put in that lineup and confuse that second mass assist. You can also make a case for R2D2 and his smokescreen. If you can get the smokescreen up on General Kenobi, and they're forced to not only get him as the tank, but he's stealthed the team too. So you got the properties there, and then if you've worked on Clone Wars Chewbacca, that's another great fifth in there, and maybe some more reasonable ones that people actually have are like Varys Offee, Aayla Secura, Plo Koon. You got a lot of options in there. It's just you want to make sure that whatever your fifth is in the Padme team, it's not consuming any of your other teams as well.
There you go. Let's see here. Give another one to you, Xylo. Danilo Papayas question: what character not in the top 4 meta teams is the first you would want to get to Gear 13? Okay, it's up to everybody.
I'd say Grievous. I mean, I've worked on these guys for the last couple months on and off, and with the new TV coming and everything like that, I really think that Grievous has a special place. Like last night, for example, there's a guy that's in my arena shard, one of the more favorite droid players in the game right now, still Strike Bomb Droid King. He's been running some Grievous League teams, and you get some pretty good RNG on there. You can beat your Darth Revan teams even with Malik on there. He also runs some different lineups too, as opposed to like full Separatist teams. But I really think once that Grievous gets that health boost, that his damage output's going to go up even higher, and it's just going to be an interesting team to have on offense. It's pretty fun.
Okay. Let's see here. Warrior, next question from Brygon Ruby. Question: with the extra protection added to older characters, do you anticipate, can think of any real changes to strategies or specific comps?
Yeah. So a lot of those older characters are not relevant, which is why they're trying to make them more relevant by adding more protection. That is where so protection became less relevant because when 6E mods came out, because they didn't really bump protection that much. They gave it a 0.5% boost, and they didn't weight the secondary protection the same way. Like it doesn't jump the same way that some of the other stats jump. Like offense percent jumps insane. Defense jumps insane, things like that. So they've weighted it differently in 6E. So now you can actually kind of, retro. This particular protection bump gives a ton of ridiculous protection to a bunch of characters that are maybe not relevant. But if you go back and look at them, if you've got them high level, and you go and remod them, like let's say it's a tank, and you remod a tank with just a crap ton of protection, 4 protection primaries, you can get them over 100,000 protection. I don't care who it is, even if they're a trash tank, they can take a lot of hits before they die as a tank with 100,000 protection and like 30,000 health. I mean, that's still 130. I remember back in the day when everyone was bragging about having a GK over 100k health and protection combined. Like that was the pinnacle, was getting that 100k, because if you could get it 110k, there was 2 different things that could go pop, like IPD, and it wouldn't kill them. And you were like, oh my gosh, I'm an IPD proof kind of thing. So we were modding for, those kinds of things. Now that's just stupid. Like I have 130,000 plus on Malik, and I didn't even try. I was just like, whoops, like that's just the new characters. That's just the way they're building because of the power creep. So there are some older characters, like for example, I just mentioned Magna Guard. I didn't even try, and I looked, and all of a sudden he was over 80,000 protection, and I was like, good lord, and he's like at 40,000 health. I'm like, what? So he's like 120,000 plus health and protection. I didn't even try. So yes, there are some new relevance to that. Just know that when they boosted protection, what boosts protection? Protection percent. Right? That's what matters. If your character doesn't have a whole lot of protection, then protection's irrelevant. It always has been. But if protection is a thing for that character, which most tanks protection is, for example, Chief Nebit.
There you go.
Dude, what? Like, he's good for droid teams. If you're playing a Grand Arena and you have the old school droid team with HK, lead, which won't work anymore, but now you're going to use IG-88 because you're smart, and you're going to use a droid team with Chief Nebit and stuff like that, and you're going to try and create like a target lock team, but have Chief there to like do the revives and stuff, and the tanking. He got a stupid amount of protection, so he's way more viable now in that super squishy team. And a couple of those characters like IG-88 and stuff like that got extra, boosts as well. So that team that kind of has faded and people have forgotten about that team, with the exception of 5 players. People could go revisit those teams and kind of rebuild those teams either as an offensive B team or as a really surprise defensive team that people don't even know how to play anymore, because who has a video on how to beat IG 100 leads? Go find it. You're not going to find it. So they're going to be like, I'm going to have to figure this out on my own. Well, people aren't as smart as you think they are, and they haven't played a bunch of these things, or they've been too new to the game and they don't know the counters from 2 years ago. So what happens? They throw a team they think can easily beat that because they're like, shoot, that looks easy. So they throw a team and they lose because they underestimated the team. So yeah, there's a lot of new teams. I have to say about Grand Arena, the only rub that I got, the thing that rubbed me the wrong way, was they've stretched us even further in the setting of team allocations.
There was an extra team in there, and I was like, wait
for
a minute.
every level. Even my Scissorman team, I have to have 8 teams for Scissorman. 8. 4 on offense, 4 on defense. 8. I'm like, I've got 1 million GP. Character GP is 650,000 or 700,000. How am I supposed to have 8 teams at 700,000 GP?
Yeah.
It just doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, my alt's 400k, and I had to put 4 teams down too. I was like, really? 4 teams? What?
Yeah. So they're stretching everybody on that, which means that they're making it really, really difficult, which means that teams such as that old droid team might be coming, saying, because you got to set another defensive team that's kind of a B team. And so what do? You'll look into those teams. So I suggest you go to that the thing about protection on the forums, and it lists all the characters. There's literally 70 characters that get touched with new protection. Go look at that. Look at any character that you own, that you have highly modded, like Gear 10 and above, and look to see which one you think, I might be able to do something with him. And then go and just spend one day remodding a couple of those characters, try to make them as tanky as possible, and then remember them when it comes to Grand Arena, and maybe toss 1 or 2 of them into a team where you have 4 and you're trying to figure out that +1, and just throw a tanky tank in there and see what happens.
All right.
You might be surprised.
And then not to incentivize working on Shock T just yet, but for the players who are at that point, the clone's got a pretty big, significant protection buff too as well. And what does that team do, right? Recover health protection properties and everything like that. And even 5s is even more tankier. So that's pretty cool just to see it on offense.
All right. Question for you, Xylo, from Vestra Kai. Question: do you think the divisions for GAC are set up correctly for endgame players, i.e. all players above 40 million GP are in the same division? Well, there's 2 divisions, right? It's 3.8 to 4.5, and then 4.5 up.
Yeah.
I think they need to revamp that. I think that's too broad of divisions for GP.
I think that
they won't.
They could have. Yeah, it's like
I don't understand that.
The scaling system's already set, right? So you go ahead, Warrior.
Well, I can let him finish.
Go ahead, Xylo.
I mean, it's just the bar's already set, right? You have to be this tall to ride the ride no matter what. But I mean, the scaling is gonna work itself out no matter what. The matchmaking, you're not gonna fall back into division once you reach that certain GP, I believe they said, right? So there's no scaling up and down through that. But you're not gonna fly through the rankings in the top scale either, like you think either. All the pay-to-play players are going to be everywhere above that 500 range, and then you're going to be having to have a lot of depth and mods just to keep climbing. So, all right, Warrior, take over.
Okay, so I'm putting on my business hat, and I'm going, this is what I would do if I was Capital Games. And I'm not saying that I agree with all this. I'm just going to tell you I can guarantee this is the mindset of the business department and stuff. So they built a growing GP. What that means is at the beginning it was 300,000 GP from round 11 to round 10 or whatever they call those groupings. Mm-hmm. And then it goes from 300,000 to 400,000 jump, and then 400,000 to 500,000 jump, and then 6 to 7 to 7 to 7 to 7, and then 10, basically 10 plus. They did that because as you start to go up, you become more invested in the game. When you become more invested in the game, they can stretch your GP out a little bit more because you're starting to have a larger knowledge base and you're starting to have a larger roster base, and it becomes a little more equitable and fair to go against someone that has a slightly greater variant in GP than you. That's their logical standpoint from building it. From a money standpoint, they have to incentivize individuals to spend money. This is their kind of cash cow for the next 12 to 24 months. Anyone that is like new, under 4.5 million GP, is what we would call developing. You don't want to hurt your developing players financially, because you want to incentivize them to spend money here and there. Just a little here, a little there, pack here, pack there. You want to try and get them to build the processes in their mind of clicking. Click, 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 and eventually becomes a habit of spending, right? It's addiction. So they've got to build that addiction. They can't, and I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful. It just is what it is, the psychology of this. So they have to build that click addiction early on to early to mid game. Then the other end, right? Me, 5.6, 5.7 million GP. We are what we are. We're spending money. They already have us. They own us. They don't have to appeal to us in that sense. But by matching us with a 4.6 million GP character potentially, it gives us that advantage that as we're paying for, we want. So I get an undue advantage by potentially somebody from a lower GP doing well and then running into me, and bottom line, I'll be the roadblock because they're just going to be outmatched. It's just not going to be fair. And so I could be the reason why they don't get into Kyber and get those extra rewards that they were looking for potentially. Now, they've done a good job of the initial GP build, but they're not advertising to them with a whale necessarily, because we already are whales, right? We are what they want us to be, and they're not going to punish or be punitive to those who are low. But anyone who's around the 4.5 to 5.5 million, you are a 1.5 to 3 year player. You are heavily invested time-wise into the game, and you are more than likely heavily invested financially into the game. That is the target audience that they need to start to spend more than they ever have before, because they're the next generation whale kraken like I was 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. They did the right thing for the last 2 years because they got me to spend, and now I'm at the 5.7 mil, right? Now they got to do that to the next generation of people that are the 4.5 to 5.5. So that's where this has come in. They're not going to change that tier because they want you to be heartedly disadvantaged in the number one game mode moving forward, because it's going to force you, whether you realize it consciously or not, to have to spend to try to keep up with the Joneses. Now, they will do a good job of matchmaking, I think, all in all. I think if you're 4.5, you'll see a bunch of people that are around 4.5. But as you win and start to go up the league, you'll start to notice that the individuals you face are going to be big jumps, 500,000 in the next one and 500,000. And by the end of it, you could be 4.6 million fighting a 5.5 million if you're that good. And you're going to lose whether you like it or not, just simply because of the way it's matched. And for them to make it more equitable at the top, de-incentivizes people spending money. So it's never going to happen. What you see is what you get, and you ain't seen nothing yet.
All right.
Well, and then another point to touch on the question too, right? Like the GP scaling, the game's evolving. Like, look at where we're at now, going on year 4. The game, like the Rancor, perfect example. Like, you didn't have CLS, you couldn't like full solo the team easily. Now the Rancor, it's simmable, but. And I mean, like, the scaling for the GP, the only time I could see that changing is when they add more ships and characters and increasing the GP value, right? Like, at that point, maybe like a year from Grand Arena Championship's launch date, then they would change the scaling because of the amount of characters and ships implemented into the game and how much players' GP scale from that point, right?
Who are you asking?
Well, I'm not asking. I'm just saying in general, like when the game starts to increase more in like GP level, like there's going to be more players reaching where the tier where we're at now in the 4.5 million tier, so that they're going to have to increase the scaling in the league system, as the game evolves too as well.
That's true. All right. All right. Who was the last one? It was Xylan, then Warrior jumped. Okay, so next question for you, Warrior. Acheron question: has CG tweaked the matchmaking algorithm yet? It still appears to be entirely dependent on GP.
It is dependent on GP. It was supposed to be, and even the tweak was going to be that way, and I do believe they've implemented it. It's just supposed to be more accurate GP for like character GP to character GP. So you might see someone that's like for example, I'm a 5.67, like I'm almost a 5.7. The guy I'm going against is 5.5. So I've got almost a 200,000 GP bump over him. But when I looked at character GP to character GP, we're like within 10 points. So I believe it's been implemented, and I believe that it's going to be very fair. And this is character to character this particular round. So I believe that's why they implemented the the matchmaking the way they did. So I think it's going to be GP to GP. I don't think they're ever going to say, I'm going to pair you up with GP and Zeta and how many mods and stuff. Like, there's a bot that can pull all that stuff, and they could use a bot like that to pull and match make people, but it's highly complex, and there's thousands and thousands of people, so it wouldn't really be feasible for them to do that. They got to have a simple system that the computer can easily compute, and I think what they've got is again, basically as good as it's going to get. And if they added things like Zetas, what would happen is it would de-incentivize people to use them, so people would start stockpiling. And they don't want that. They want you to actually use your Zetas, so you don't have Zetas. So the new characters that come out, you have something to work towards. They don't want you to stockpile.
All right.
So stockpile.
Do it. All right. Next question for you, Xylo. Darth Hideous question. My first ever GAC championship opponent is Division 2, and I'm Division 3. How the hell did the Supreme Leader rig this? Yes, Xylo. How does this work? Say, nah.
Well, for starters, there's rules there. I mean, like, what is it? The lifetime currency, right? Like, everybody's doing the fleet battles and everything like that, and increasing their points. Like, say for example, if you did that, that could scale the matchmaking. But that doesn't make sense to why someone from Division 2 or 3 got matched up like separate divisions like that. I couldn't give you an answer. I mean, that's definitely off-putting to see and hear too, right?
Yeah, it's just weird.
I think my guess is the person in Division 2 is at the very, 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 very highest end, and the person in Division 3 is at the very, 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 very bottom end, or vice versa, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they're so close in GP that one got thresholded into the next level, but they're still matching them together because, bottom line, they're like within the closest range GP approximate that they are. I think that's going to happen forever, and there's no fix to that. I think that if people use a little bit of common sense, they'll see that if they look at their opponent, ignore their division, just look at their GP, they're going to see that it's a really close matchup, and that's what happens. It's just bottom line, the system's looking for matches that are accurate versus matches and X, Y, or Z, which is what I just said earlier too.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's still working, like, its grading scale and everything, right? Like, for example, like, I'm in Division 1, there's somebody that has, like, 4.7 million GPA that's in the top 10 of Division 1 right now, only because of, like, the achievements and all the other grading scales from that point. So it's still in the works, I think.
All right. Let's see here. Next question for you, Warrior. Fat Tony 99 question: which team would you take to Gear 13 first in a Darth Revan Malak team? I think the order would be Basil Fallen, then either Darth Revan or Malak next. What do you think?
I actually think Malak and Darth Revan. I would do Darth Revan first, then Malak, then Basti. That's my goal, and that would be the first team I'd probably focus on too.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I'm going Basti, Malak, Darth Revan of the three, mainly because that little speed boost kick you want for her and that Gear 13. Was it 8 speed? Something.
Yeah,
they're all over the map.
13k health, right? Like, if she gets down to like just a strain of health and can come back, you know what I mean? Like, she can bounce back to full health again. Like, that alone can win you the match.
Yeah. So I was looking at that, but I don't think there's, the all answer on this.
That will be situational. I mean, I have the fastest Bastila on the chart, so because I have the slowest Revan. I'm always going second.
Yeah,
Revan and my fifth trooper.
Depends
so
on your
me,
mods,
it just
right?
makes logical sense.
Yeah,
but it depends on the chart.
Yeah, totally makes sense. So it's going to be situational. Next question for you, Zyla from Trash Gamer. Question: what is the lowest rank possible in a division? I have no earthly idea on that. Do you have any idea what the lowest rank you can get?
I have no clue. I mean, I've seen numbers in the like 88,000 range, like very low numbers. But I mean, I can pull up my alt real quick and give you that, because like my alt's only like 400 KGP, so I mean like that's like the bottom of the barrel, right? So let me pull that up real quick.
Except for if you're active in your category, you'll be higher than those that are inactive in your category. There are people that played the game for 2 weeks and quit, and they're going to be at like, 88,000, and you're going to be at like 2,000 because you got some teams or something.
So my alt's in like Division 11, and it's ranked 5,303. So I mean, like, still, I mean, just to give you that number, I mean, like that just tells you there's thousands and thousands of people in each division, right? So I mean, it could scale between like anywhere from like 10 to 20,000, right? Maybe even deeper than that, right, Warren?
I think there's probably about 500,000 players that are technically like in the game files that are still considered active, and so I think there's probably around 100,000 in each category.
Wow.
With it slowly tiering down as you go up. Like the bottom tier probably has the most, and then as you go up, it starts to get a little thinner and a little thinner and a little thinner, which is also why they tier the GP when they go from like 300,000 to 600, 400,000 to 500,000 to 600,000 gap on the GP, because as you go up, your quantity goes down, so you have to spread the GP out. And at the highest end, over 4.5 mil, there's the lowest or the highest attrition and the lowest number of individuals that are playing within the game. So that's another reason why they, GP'd it the way they did, was to make sure that the base of people that were in there are equivalent, approximate to the previous base of people that were in there. So like each, thing has about the same amount of people. But I'm thinking there's around 500,000, probably about 100,000 per, division. I could be wrong. It could be closer to like 50,000 per division. I'd like to see those numbers. That'd be cool.
So that's crazy. Yeah, that's a crazy amount of people. And I mean, like you said, the term active player, right? So.
All right. Darsign 1972 question for Warrior. Do you think CG will amend the GAT tiers? How can I compete when I'm in my division? The top has more than 500,000 K than me. How fair is it? How fair is it as I'll peak as at certain GAT category?
Well, it's fair in the sense that your first battle is going to be against people that are literally like identical to you, and then if you win, you'll go against people from the next tier up, but they will be probably the losers. So they're the people who are not participating probably, or don't know what the hell they're doing. So you have an advantage if you know what you're doing, because they may be setting weird teams, or maybe they're keeping all their good teams on offense and they don't know how to execute or whatever. They just lost their rounds. So then you go into their higher, and you're going against people that are higher GP but have lost their rounds, and then you beat them, and then you go into the next tier, which is losers that are good, that just lost because of modding, and you'll lose there. So you'll probably always be prevented from going into like the Kyber League, but I'll be honest, so will I. So, I mean, I can't cry over spilt milk kind of thing. It's like, it is what it is. The beast is built. There are some that just have insane mods at every level, and those are going to be the people that have the greatest advantage, but they have to have not only the modding advantage, they have to have the execution and the knowledge advantage as well, which is difficult to have all three, except for at the very, very highest end. So, yeah, I think you're going to do very well. I think you'll do better than most, and I think you'll get better than average rewards, which is all we can ask for. If you can get better than average rewards, you're doing better than the average, then you should be pretty happy with that.
All right. Let's see here. Oh, it just updated. Crap. All right. 3 hours. This question: what, y'all don't have Star Wars GG in your favorites? No. All right. Stoner Deadpool Kyle question: now that Darth Revan has returned and Grand Arena has returned, I'm starting to see more throughout my opponent. Should I save him for offense since he's the only Darth Revan counter I have?
Yeah, best offense is being able to win and being able to full clear, as opposed to having a solid defense, right? So, unfortunately, if you haven't worked on Padme or Jedi Knight Revan counter, or your CLS counter, or your Grievous counter, or any other counter, like, you see what I'm saying, right? Like, there's counters out there. You got to start working on those counters, brother. You gotta get that Padme counter going, because it's gonna be the easiest on your mods. You do have plenty of those health mods even floating around. Like if you have the Grievous team good and modded, you can easily transfer those mods over to the Padme team for a counter for Darth Revan, and then find some scraps or another B, C team that you can pull for your Grievous team, right? Like it'll have this ripple effect. You need to start working on the Padme team, and yeah, I mean Padme should be right around the corner within like the next month and a half, 2 months, somewhere around that ballpark. So I mean, get your steps ready. I mean, even if you're not doing the new GOTV, get Padme going.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Well, next question for What Else Any 3 question. With all these upgrades happening for Gen 1 characters, do you think any of the older teams will come back to meta-ness?
Not so much. The power creep's real.
It's super real.
Some of those old teams are fun, and I referred to them earlier as a B team. That's the best that some of those teams are ever going to see is B status until they're like completely reworked and touched and stuff like that. For example, a lot of those old Jedi, they're always just going to be screwed. Even with a Padme team, they could be a +1. They don't, in and of themselves, make themselves a good team. They have to have Padme, which is new, not old, to make them relevant. And they're really not relevant. They're just anything's relevant with Padme kind of thing. So I don't really see a ton of the old, like original 70, 72 characters being viable, except for those that have been massively reworked and made relevant with like new characters that have been brought into the game. For example, General Grievous, they brought new characters in and they reworked everything, and they've even reworked a 2.0 within the same like couple of months. So that makes that team relevant, and there's a lot of originals. Like Magna Guard, who would have thought in a million years that one of the worst characters in the game was going to be actually super viable in a A-level team, like an A-level team. I do put General Grievous's team really up there in like the top 5 best teams in the game. So who would have thought, but it took General Grievous and then B1 and Droideka, which are brand new characters coming into the game, for that to become the reasoning. So I don't see a lot of those old characters becoming super viable unless they do a bunch to other characters.
So, I mean, like, and what I'm thinking too, like just talking out loud here, I mean, like the only 2 teams that really jump out to me that I think could jump back into the meta would be like, for example, again, the droids, like he just said, the Grievous team. I even see it on my shards sometimes occasionally, and with Gear 13 popping over around the corner, that boost of damage to that full team and the boost of the health and protection in general just makes the team more durable, right? So like as long as they're out there and they're hitting target lock, they're getting the turn meter going. It's you know what I mean? Again, RNG and mods again too, and then maybe even the Night Sisters again too. Maybe the Night Sisters can make a little resurface. I mean, and again, mods, RNG, a lot of these different variables to apply, but I think you could see some of these other...
Tuskens. That's basically the only thing that's not viable, to be honest. Everything else has a place. I mean, maybe not clones as much anymore. I mean, they're like a C team, even with the new edition of Shakti.
Yeah.
They're not quite where they need to be, but I don't think they're done with them. They always kind of roll things out over a period of time. So really, I think basically every faction has a team that is kind of an A or a B team, with a couple factions leaning into the C category because they haven't been touched. The only like D category team is really Tuskens and Jawas. Tuskens have never had enough to even be anything.
No.
Kind of like Geos. But I think the Geos are going to have a place now. That was the 3rd bottom team, and now I'm just excited about Geos because I worked them solely for ships for my alt account, and they're like my highest, geared up characters. But it sucks when I play Grand Arena. But now I can farm a character that's going to give them a new lead and new synergy, and I'll be able to have like this crazy B team out of nowhere that was before trash. So I'm excited for that.
I'm excited to see you working on Brood Alpha, man.
All right, next question, Rubber Duck Mafia for you, Xylo. Question: I'm a 10-18 player, already at 1.8 million GP. I do have some fluff in my roster, but realistically speaking, how many teams should I have at this point?
Well, I mean, going right up to the 2 million range, I would say you could easily make these 4 offensive and 4 defensive teams, right? I mean, at minimum, at least the 4 and 4, right? Like, I mean, for a good example, like I was looking at what I have in my alt account at 400k GP, and you know, I mean, like with some shorthanded offensive teams with the right materials and the right abilities, I can still make some shorthanded offensive teams that are more than capable of beating whatever they put down on defense, right? But at that scale where you're getting into the 2 million range, I mean, you've already developed a couple of the legendary teams, you've already done some of your pillars, you've already got some of the top tier teams that are relevant for you. So yeah, you should have at least 4 offensive and 4 defensive teams. Maybe even looking to build towards at least another 5 or 6, like 2 of each for offense and defense, right? Like start looking to what you're going to do next and implement that in your pillar system farm as well.
All right. Next question for Warren. This is for all of us. I guess Danilo Papayas. He says, question, since my first question seemed to be misworded, I wanted to know which characters around the corner would you gear up to 13 as a guilty pleasure, not who should be geared to the max next. A guilty pleasure to
yeah, like who do we want out of everything?
Is a guilty pleasure? I'm going to totally do my Geos because they're going to be a thing, and everybody, I'm going to make those guys rainbow for sure. That'll be fun. And I know that my guild is going to be like, Darth Revan, and then Jedi Revan, and then Grievous, and you know what I mean, like the top 4 teams, Padme team, like those 4 teams. Even Night Sisters, those 5 teams are going to be like, you have to take them to Gear 13. Rebels, because they got to go up to Gear 13. So there's these like super overpowered offensive and defensive powerhouses that are the logical choices, but my Geos are screaming at me, I just need one piece. I just need one piece.
That's not, you have to do the sound. Is it like waggle? There you go.
Who would you want to do, Ranger?
I'm going to do Ugnaught to be spiteful.
Oh no! Come on, who?
Do not film you doing Ugnaught. That's just inappropriate.
I know. I'm joking. I said that because I can't stand. I know it's a waste of weed. No, I don't really know. I kind of like Shock T and the clones. The more I've been playing around with those guys, the more I'm like, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to do a team that's outside, the meta that would be fun to do, and that kind of. I've always been a big clone fan.
Awesome. I didn't even think of them, but they might go from being like a C team to a super ridiculously solid B team, even without an addition of a new character. If you did those guys to raise them to Gear 13.
Yeah, I was thinking that might be a fun one to do.
I was also thinking about the bounty hunters, man. Like, get that extra speed and damage on them.
Damn, bounty hunters are going to be ridiculous, man. God.
Then you could go out with Boba and Jango and start one-shotting like Darth Revan and Bastila.
Wait, why do they only have Boba and Jango fed on this team? Well, let me just go get my win. Ah! I was wrong!
It would be cool.
It would be cool. All right, what else? 73. Next question for you, Stoner. Question with how things are now. Are there any useless mod sets?
Maybe primaries like accuracy. I couldn't see accuracy having a home anywhere anymore. Like even B2 Battle Droid used to be like the best accuracy arrow character, and even that's gone now. So it's like accuracy, like primary
but mod sets. Like
every set, I use every set.
Yeah, I do too. I can't think of
even.
Yeah, I can't think of a useless mod set.
You know what character I feel like needs accuracy, and I think it's just because it's coded into the game for him to whiff all the time, is Yoda. It like super irritates me when I do his flying weirdo special where he like bounces around the human being all crazy and then flies off, and it's all deflected. It's like that's supposed to be 58,000. What the hell? And they deflate it. It's like I'm gonna put an axe tier on him. I swear. And it's like I've never seen a character whiff more than him. Like without foresight up, without anything up, just guaranteed hit, and then whoop, they somehow got the 2% deflection. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah.
I've seen that happen before. It's like, attack I will. Oh, missed.
With the right secondaries too, like if you get the right speed and offense on there too. That
I know, like you're just like, okay, he hits like a truck if he hits.
Ooh, by the way, on my alt account, Scissor Man, my very first character at Gear 12 ever in history was Yoda, and when he popped, I had a bunch of Gear 12 because I haven't been able to put Gear 12 on anyone since I started the game, and so I was able to put 4 of his 5 pieces on.
Nice.
And I was able to slice because I have enough to slice like 40 mods, but
nice.
I can't do it because you got to get him to Gear 12 to slice, right? So I was able to slice all of his mods. His offense is over 6,400.
God dang.
Nice.
A little
so
frog.
My goalie is like 55,000 health. I just barely got him to Gear 12, and so I've done his mods too. And so those are my 2 like cream of the crop. I'm so excited about them.
It's like he's as excited as a little girl. All right, Stoner, Fat Tony 99 question: if Negotiator is actually in Get 2 store, should we farm that first or get Arena to Gear 13 first?
Yeah.
Arena.
I mean, I was talking about this with some people yesterday. I mean, it just sucks because like if they make the Negotiator meta over Falcon, like that's your Zeta
I don't care.
Right?
I don't care.
Income, though.
I don't care.
I mean, I guess I would say get your Arena team together first, then get the Negotiator. You know,
I got too
many.
many.
Dip into anything else.
Yeah, I mean, one ship versus a ton of characters that I know I'm going to need Gear 13.
Well, think about it like from an asset or a variable like this, like when Hermit Yoda and Walpa first got into the Get store, right? Like you were forced to either farm those characters or get Gear 12. So what you do,
I
right?
understand,
you got
but
your Arena team together.
I'm not letting CG dictate that crap to me. Then kiss my
Right.
ass.
Especially on ships too, because I'm sure that Milk will still be relevant when, you know, the new General Kenobi Negotiator team comes out, right? Like I'm sure it's still going to be relevant, or else they wouldn't have made it such a necessity farm, right? Like I mean, it's going to be relevant no matter what. So you won't have to worry about that, and you'll have time to get your Arena team and maybe a second or third team together, and then go after Negotiator. But you're going to need it too, right?
Yeah.
Like you're going to need the Negotiator somewhere, some way, somehow.
I'm sure you will, and I just don't care because I'm tired of them doing this crap. So as far as I'm concerned, the Negotiator can just sit there, and
they're gonna find some way to incentivize it and make you farm it.
They can incentivize all they want. I'm not going to do it. I've got to get my teams ready to go with Gear 13. I mean, that's where the bang for your buck is going to be.
Yeah. If anything, I would do the core 3, like the Fallen
absolutely.
Malik, Revan, and then go for the Negotiator. Like get them. Maybe that's must-have pieces. You know. No, what I mean?
I'm going teams until I have certain teams done. You know, Gear 13 and stuff. I'm not even touching the Negotiator. You know, and if they pull that crap where they make it like mandatory for something like GOTB, they're going to get an epic rant. I'm going to fry them for that because, you know, you can't give people choice and say you don't really have a choice.
Well, this is another thing, too, is like the Get 2, like missions are probably going to be like the special missions instead of regular guild event currency missions, right? So Get 2, and then you're going to have like the qualified characters like Separatist or Separatist droids or, you know, bounty hunters, you know, like we saw Jango Fett on the display. Or the Negotiator, or the ship marquee events like the Thrawn event. You had to have Thrawn's Chimera for that Get mission, so you'll probably need the Negotiator and the Separatist version of the Negotiator for Get 2 mission.
All right. Next question for Warrior Sean Ragnar the Red Kelly. Question: now that we see the Gear 12 finishers, who do you think has the top 3 pieces?
Now that we have seen Gear 12 finishers, who do we think has the top 3? So this is the deal. I haven't gone through every single character and looked at every single finisher to see what each person gets. So I have no idea. I looked at a couple key characters and then a couple of my faves just to see what they were giving to some of my lower end characters that maybe aren't as, good, to see kind of how they were tweaking that particular character, because they did. They used the similar recipes for the characters, using basically, you know, low end, mid end, and high end gear, blended all together, and then it comes up with this weird concoction that may or may not be similar to other characters. Some characters are uniquely different, have bigger boosts. I would have to spend a whole lot of time doing an analysis on who's the best. In fact, that's a great video idea, to really spend time and kind of memorize everybody who's got good stuff and how it's going to benefit those characters specifically. But I just haven't had the time to do that yet. So. For me personally, any of the meta teams, we're talking Padme, Jedi, Revan, Darth Revan, Grievous, Night Sisters, Bounty Hunters, even probably in there, Rebels. These are teams that are guaranteed to go from being top tier teams to maintain their amazing top tier status. So those should have priority, but I'm sure there are a couple of characters floating out there that are going to be sleepers. Someone like maybe like a Poe Dameron or something like that, where you're not kind of expecting a less relevant character like that to matter, and then all of a sudden you pop his Gear 13 and his ship all of a sudden is 206 feet and gets more damage, and now you can one shot through protection too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's things that we can't see, we don't know, because right now it's a guaranteed kill basically if there's no protection. But maybe with that pop, it's going to be so much more damage, like 130 or 140,000 damage, that he could possibly just one shot, bigs without ever anybody even taking a turn. And since he goes first, it doesn't matter. You just get to one shot an opponent's team character, and now it's 3-2 kind of thing. We don't know. I mean, I'm excited about the ship side of it to see how these Gear 13 finishers impact ships, because I haven't seen that in the calculator yet online at that one website to see how Gear 13 finishers are going to affect the GP boost. We know that the higher you go, the more GP you get for the gear. Like, you get like a gear like 5, you get like 20 GP for a piece of gear, but at the high end you get like 600 to 800 pieces or GP for a piece of gear. So the Gear 13 finisher very well could be like 1400 or 1600, almost like a Zeta GP wise boost, and it could be enough to put these guys into another tier on ships, which gives them more speed, more health, more protection, more damage, and it will change the dynamics of ships forever potentially. So that's the part I'm kind of wanting to discover. But as far as knowledge, I honestly don't know how it'll impact the game and what nuanced characters are going to be super overpowered after they get their Gear 13.
All right.
Exciting though, for sure.
Oh yes, it is.
Well, and a couple more characters I was thinking about too, like you got Ron, of course, and then Enfys Nest, she's gonna get that 13k health. She's gonna be even more durable and have a little extra damage. And then maybe like Sith Marauder hitting even more damage right there too as well. And then Finn, like his damage output could ramp up even to like 250k damage, right? Like, hitting like a beast.
All right. Center Jedi, question from DL Darth Coco. Question: do you think there will be Savage Maul required SMs or combat missions in GOTB? I feel like everyone is overlooking they are from the same period. Both should probably have Separatist tag. I don't think they will. No, I mean they come in more later on.
They were
stuff.
Their own.
Maul wasn't. They weren't even involved out. They could. I mean, CG could do anything, but it doesn't. If they were going to just kind of keep the theme of what was kind of going on there, I don't think it'd be a special mission involving those two at all. If it was on Dathomir or something, maybe. But if we were on Mandalore, maybe. But no, because that's where they really primarily have their story arcs. Unless we're doing a pirate raid, that arc, but no, not for Geonosis, because they weren't involved in either one of the Geonosis territory battles. They weren't even sniffing around the areas. No, I don't see it, man. Grim, question for Ranger: you think Edith Koth will be good at Gear 13? No, quit trolling. Damn it! Now. Damn it, Grim. Stupid Grim. All right, Warrior, sort of the Jedi question. Do you drop to the bottom league at the start of each Grand Arena Championships?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Everything gets reset as if you're an idiot and everyone's an idiot. We all start at the bottom again, and then it's designed that everyone gets to reclimb. And like I said, I think that's stupid, and I think that should be re-looked at. I think once you earn a certain league, you should be able to just happily stay on that league unless you start losing. And then you can lose your way into the lower leagues. But I don't think that once you earn your way into a higher league that you should have to lose all of that accomplishment, because this is the deal. The first couple of battles, you may or may not, you may be paired against people that are totally overpowered, and you may lose your first round. It doesn't benefit you anything. Sometimes you may get people that are trash, and you may win, and that benefits you. But then the next battle should be a little bit better, and then the next battle should be even better. It's supposed to get improved matchmaking over time, because it gets to know whether you're better or worse than those opponents, and it moves you into categories of people that are more similarly, matched to you.
Yeah.
When they drop us back to square one, it resets all of that valuation that the computer just learned about you to basically trash. It's like a worthless analogy for the computer to do that, because it has to start all over and redo it all over again. If you're good enough to be in the Bronzium League, or whatever the next league is, the Chromium League or something, the next time you come in, you should be paired against other Chromium League players. Those are people who are of equal winning status as you, and basically know what they're doing, and you don't have to worry about getting those potential insane OP Kyber League characters that you have to fight against, and you don't have to worry about fighting against those bums that don't want to play, that have just set nothing on defense either, that are at the bottom again. So it creates separation and maintains it. And then as you play, if you lose, they should have it where you actually lose those points instead of gain those points. They have it built to where you only gain and no loss. But that's not the way every other company in the world does it. Every other company in the world, I play Clash Royale. It's fun.
Yeah, a lot of ranking systems. Yeah.
They have a ranking system, and basically, I can quit that game and come back, and I'm in the same rank as I was when I left. And if I go and I play and I win, I gain trophies, and if I lose, I lose trophies. And it matchmakes. The matchmaking is based off of your wins and losses. If you're going to track losses, you should track that. And so they give us a bunch of ways to basically earn promotional, stuff to grow, but there's nothing that deducts it. And because of that, they have to forcefully reset it every time. And I just feel like it's a flawed build system. And I think that's because they're not, this development team, while they're amazing, they're not, this is a different kind of game than what they're used to. And they're building it all from scratch, and they're not really leaning in on all the other game designers who've been here already and beat them to the punch and mastered it before them. It's kind of like somebody saying, I'm going to be like Walmart, and then just going out and doing it without even doing any research on Walmart and figuring out what Walmart's doing, and then just totally fudging it up. It's sucking because everybody's like, well, didn't you not even pay attention to your competitors? This really needs to have a balanced system where when you lose, you go down, and when you win, you go up. And once you earn a thing, you earn it. And then the next time your matchmaking occurs, it will be more accurate to the individuals that you should be fighting, which will feel better for everybody, for them, for us. And you still have to earn your way in. That way, when people earn to Kyber, the next time they're in, they're going to be facing those Kyber level opponents. It's not really fair to set them down to the bottom where they have to fight a bunch of trash to get to where they really want real competition, because this is all about competition, and they get easy rewards and I might not. And that's, again, not a balanced system. So it's not balanced. That's the biggest opportunity for them in this whole thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, for clarification, because people in chat are like, well, I thought you don't drop. So the way it works is when you get into a Grand Arena Championship for the 5-week period, right? As you climb, you climb. Now, some people will climb faster because they get more points. Say you lost. You're still going to get some points, but someone who beat you is going to climb up faster. So your ranking there will be different based off who's got more points and stuff. But as you gain points and you gain leagues, you will not lose that during the Grand Arena Championship. After the 5-week period, or however long the period is, like for this one it's a week, then it resets. So if you hit Kyber last time in the previous Grand Arena Championship, like say season 1, then we go to season 2, you're down at the bottom, right? You have to start all over again. So that's the thing you have to understand about it. So okay. I lost my thing. All right, Stoner Acheron question: If the only difference in rewards is moving up to a higher league, which isn't that different between divisions, then it's still a smart strategy. Is it still a smart strategy to keep? Is it a smart strategy to try to keep your GP as low as possible?
The idea of GAC now is to incentivize you to climb through the ranking now too. So like, if you keep in a lower system, you're kind of stunting your growth, right? So I would advise you just keep climbing and aim higher and keep aiming high. Like outside of Galaxy Heroes, when I was growing up, a mentor of mine always told me it's better to aim high and miss than to aim low and hit, right? So you always want to keep that kind of mindset. You always want to do that in this kind of competition if you want to be competitive. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, if you want more of this new currency, keep climbing through the ranks. Keep climbing, keep and focus down the right things. You just gotta gotta keep the focus that you've already had. Just make sure that you're building the right teams and keeping your GP in a certain system and grow with your GP and your teams, right?
All right. Next question for Rooster for you, Warrior. Question: are Gear 13 wagers now a bigger bet than Zeta wagers?
Say that again.
Are Gear 13 wagers now a bigger bet than Zeta wagers?
Wagers?
Yeah, I don't know what he's implying.
I don't know what you. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that question.
Since I read it, I was like, wait, what?
Wager means you're giving something up, like you're betting it, like you're putting it up for auction type thing, and nobody's going to do that ever in the future. So I don't understand the question. But if they mean like which is a bigger reward, the like, you know, Gear 13 would be bigger than Zetas at this point. You can buy Zetas every single day. You don't need them as a reward. It's great to have the infusion from the Grand Arenas, but personally, I would rather them completely replace Zetas with Gear 13 finisher pieces and exclusively 50.
Roosters, he clarified, said between YouTubers.
Okay.
I was wondering,
between YouTubers, what?
We have to wait, instead of wagering a Zeta, do we wager a Gear 13 piece you have to put on a character?
Oh, that's like what I was Arnold and us
when I do that.
Like when we do something and we lose. So for the record, I remember I gave up a Zeta potential, and you guys, the community, totally came out in force and barely got me to do a character mission, mission that I wanted to do. But I almost had to do another. What was it, Rose or someone? I can't remember. It was someone stupid.
Yeah, Warrior was begging that day. Warrior was begging so hard that day.
Oh my god, that's like the worst. That is the worst.
Warrior was sweating bullets that day, man. It was fantastic.
I could see someone building a finisher and then putting it up for ransom, like against somebody else or whatever. I could see that, like us, betting a Gear 13. I personally don't like that because someone would make me do Bodhi or something stupid. But the good news is a Gear 12 finisher is unnecessary on a character unless you have the other 5 pieces. So it really only makes sense for the characters you already have max developed, and like Bodhi's not max developed, so wouldn't make any sense. But I don't know. I'm there. Yeah, I'm principally against giving up Zetas. Like, I was against it. The only reason why I did that was because it was for a really, really good cause, and I wanted to help out. But it wasn't because I enjoy that. I feel like this game is already hard enough to just start taking the most epic resource and just discarding it willy-nilly. It just seems silly to me. But, I get why other YouTubers do it because it's fun and it builds, an audience for something crazy. So
I bet if we were raising money for charity again, you'd do it, Warrior.
Yes.
What else? Any 3 question for you, Xylo? For Padme's 3 abilities. What is the Omega priority order?
Like for Padme in general, like
for Padme's 3 abilities, yeah. What is the Omega priority order? My apprentice is angry and awake.
I would say, and I'm not looking at him or anything like that, but I would say like her cleanse, her special kick, like the mass assist, and then her basic. I think the cleanse is the most essential because it gives that extra bonus to the cleanse, and then the kick is the kick. You know what I mean? Like I prioritize the kick over the basic because you're using that second after you use the cleanse. So there you go.
There you go. I was like, my apprentice is ready for breakfast.
Yeah, he's ready for the good stuff.
That's right. That's right, my apprentice. First choke your father in anger, just because. All right. Next question for Warrior from Jedi Training Bogus. Question: with the new GAC ranking system, will the new GAC ranking system be used in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes.gg? Can this be a new way to recruit players based off their scores? What do you think about that?
Oh, if it's scrapable data, it will probably make its eventually into that, and it will be scrapable data. So I think at some point, you got to remember SWGOH.gg is like a couple dudes, primarily one dude, but a couple of dudes that are helping each other out, and it's a completely like not-for-profit. They're trying to make money off it, but they're not really making any money off of it, and they all work real-time jobs. So kind of like a YouTube channel in that sense. So it took them forever to build out the ability to scrape all the ship data and put in like ships arena and stuff. I mean, ships were out for what, 2 years before they finally were able to add the ships arena stuff into there. It's not that it's necessarily difficult, it's just a ridiculously time-consuming ability to grab all that data and packet it in a way that is easily readable and then putting it on their site. So it's totally doable, and they probably have that huge desire to do that for the community, but at the end of the day too, it also requires a lot of build out and computer programming time that they may or may not have to do. So I could see it happening, but I could also see it happening and it taking them 6 months to kind of build that in their website, and at no fault of their own, it's just time constraint. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, Dimple Call says it's available now, so I'm actually kind of curious. I'm like looking at like, really?
They've already built that out. That's insane, amazing if they did. That would be awesome. And yes, once it's built out, if it is already built out, then great. But once it's in there, then yeah, of course, people are going to use this, because what you can do as a guild is you can find people who are under GP'd, but are overperforming for their GP level. And it's not, the future of this game is not about your GP. It's about how you perform at your GP level. So if you have 4.2 million, but you're doing insane, that means you A, know how to mod, B, have decent mods, and C, know how to execute. That is more important than anyone that's paid their way to 5.5 million and has no clue how to use the teams they purchased.
Right. Yeah, it's all there now. It doesn't have any stats on it, but yeah, they're there. Championship successful battle defense, full rounds clear, championship score, undersized, all this stuff there that they had in your stats that were in the when you click on your new stats, it's now in GG. So there you go. All right, next question for Stoner from Ziglet. Question: on those who completed GAT feat for the 15 ships arena win, does a new feat appear or just show that one is completed?
I haven't seen the second tier myself, but I'm pretty sure there is one, because if you finish the first one, it still has players right now that are at 725. So I'm pretty sure there's a second tier to it. I just think there's another layer to it. If anything, probably like 20-25 battles, something like that.
All right.
Not 100% there. Don't quote me on that.
All right, Shadowville. Question for you, Warrior. Best 8 random Grand Arena teams.
Best 8 random Grand Arena teams. You talk about offense, defense, and why random?
I don't know. It just says that's this question. Best 8 random GA teams. I'm kind of puzzled.
I mean, I guess the top eight in no particular order. We're talking about Revan, Darth Revan, General Grievous, Padme. Those, are the top basically 4. Then you've got Bounty Hunters, and then you've got Night Sisters, and then you've got multiple Smuggler / Old Republic team comps that you can do with like Kira lead, Karth lead, that will fill in those last couple of gaps. Those are really all the best for like defense, and actually Rebels fall in there too. You could use them on defense. I like to use Rebels on offense because there's just so much control.
Yeah.
First Order could potentially be in the top 10, but a lot of people use First Order for defense, but a lot of people are now actually using First Order for offense. If built right, they actually work really well against the Karth team. Since they're a dot-centric team, they work well when they get dots. So, it's just one of those things where those are kind of the staples at the high end. That's randomly thrown out there. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, it's kind of vague question there, so I was like, wait a minute. Nathaniel Morgan, question for you, Stoner. Question: since we aren't using Sith ships for Negotiator, how will they be used? Do they just drop them for no reason?
I mean, honestly, I don't see a value for them anymore. I mean, other than having them right now. I mean, we've all been speculating they've been used for something or an event or required for something, anything like that, but we just don't have any concrete staple content. Like, at least the Bounty Hunters, like, the only thing that they had wrong was like Cad Bane wasn't in that era. I mean, that's the only thing that I had to say about that, or like opposed to the Falcon event, right, with the ships event. But I just you have so many different ships and so many different eras from that timeline, and you know, some are from KOTOR, some from the original trilogy, and they're all just kind of mixed around. So it's probably hard for them to make an event with it because it's just so many different ships and so many different timelines.
Yeah. Let me see if there's any more questions. I think we might be caught up. Let me look here. And it's loading. Nope, there's more questions. All right. Next question for you, Warrior. From Utah. Hey, Utah. Question: how much can a Sith saber slice along? Really? Jeez. I can't even read that, Utah. God dang it. Not even a legit question. Are there any more legit questions, you knuckleheads? You give me a tongue twister here. How much can a Sith saber slice salmon on the second day of the second month when all slits slice sideways slits in the Sith ship? What? Get out of here. Stop it. Jesus Christ. I need Finn to be scooping up these fun questions for the end. Because I'm just having to do like multiple things. So I'm like, I'll do this and ask the next question. So that's not a legit question. Get out of here, Yuta.
Warning, troll questions are available.
Yes, they are. Oh, Shadowvel in his question, Warrior, was saying not non-meta teams would be the best 8 random non-meta teams at the moment. Good Lord, you'd have to really think about that.
Yeah,
That's cray-cray.
I'm going to take you on. So this is the deal. There's like 8 defensive teams and 8 offensive teams. That's the top 16 teams. Top 16 teams times 5 characters per team is the top half of all characters. You'd have to go to the bottom half, and you're talking about Galactic Republic have a few that you could be crappy and put in there. You got Rebels that could go in there, like you know the Rogue One, Phoenix. These are kind of like lower end that hopefully at the high end you're not using anymore. You know, you've got some Jedi teams you could do, like a I'm a Gundai lead, which would be kind of a good off the charts team because there's a lot of countering with like your Kit Fistos and your I'm a Gundais as the lead for that, and Ayla Sakura down there, you know, countering as well. You've got some, you know, you could have Tuskens in a team with just 2 randos. You could have some droid teams that are some of the older droids that actually would work pretty decent. I mean, there's just some random characters that aren't being utilized right now on the bottom of the roster. But I think if you just go to your roster and click the invert button and you look at those bottom rows, there you go.
Did you ever do anything with your Tuskens, Warrior? Or are they just sitting there like at gear 8 or something, like just...
You know me, I took everything to gear 12. Everything's gear 12 in my account, so... I mean, I took them up last. Like, they were literally the very last characters to go to gear 12. But, you know, as you're farming, like right now, just for the record, everything's gear 12. I'm just farming gear. Like, I've got like 5 stun cuffs. I've got like, you know, 4 of the new cryotech of each type. 4 built, like 200 pieces built. You know, I'm farming just, you know, stun guns. I've got like 5 stun guns. I've got like 9 Carbantes. I'm just farming gear, so that way when something comes out, I can just blast them up, and it's a perpetual cycle at the high end, which is why they don't make a lot of money off the really high dolphins anymore, or whales anymore, because once you have everything, it's like, what's going on? I don't even buy anything. I don't need anything. There's like no purpose for anything. Like, have everything, and you know, there's gear packs that come into the store, but it's like, do I really need those gear pieces? I mean, I have all my critical characters maxed, and that would just be going on to like fluffer characters, and am I really that Kraken to do that? You know what I mean? That's the question, is like, do I really need to spend that money to be that much of a Kraken, or can I just not worry about those characters? And the answer is I don't have to worry. But you know, when you get to the high end, I'm just farming to farm. Like every day I'm trying to figure out what to spend my energy on, so I don't have anything. And that's a nice problem to have, I guess. Most 99% of people don't have that problem, but yeah, everything's gear 12, so.
All right. Revenator says, question for Ranger, can you do a roster review for this roster? No. I know you're trolling. You know who he put in there, Warrior? He put your Scissorman Warrior account.
Ooh, that would be fun. You could totally do that.
Not on the Jedi Academy stream, because I have to change everything. So, no! What, I'm doing a busy roster review?
No, but that would actually be fun to have me on another, like a Wednesday night or
something. Yeah,
I'd
be more glad to do it then. Yes.
And just get your guys' take on it. It'd be fun to see what you guys see as strengths and what you see as opportunities for improvement, because maybe you will see something I don't.
Yeah.
You know, more eyes are always better.
Yeah, I'd be more glad to do it. But the thing with Revenator, he does it to me all the time, where he throws a random roster in there for me to review, and I'm like, okay. he does troll ones. Like he put in mobile one time, or something like that. I'm like, no, get out of here. Jesus. Like, can I help people that are actually watching the channel now that actually want roster reviews, not people that are not interested? They're not even here. Is there any okay, there we go. Akaron, question for: how many refreshes of normal ship energy do you do just to farm gear?
For the ship energy?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't spend any refreshes on ship energy at all right now. What I do is I just spend my ship energy on Gear 12 pieces. On the last level at the very right, there's like 3 Gear 12 pieces. There's like the meta pack, and that, there's like 3 of them. There's like a hair dryer that's a high-end Gear 12 piece. There's the meta pack piece that's purple, and there's like another purple file cabinet, whatever looking thing. Those 3 pieces are all I only use the energy to give me throughout the day for that. With the cryotech and stuff, I actually I go 3 days saving my crystals, and I only spend 300 crystals a day. And then I get about 1,000 a day, and so the 700 a day I save. And once I have 22,000-ish around, I buy 2 of the cryotechs, 1 of each. 125 pack and 125 pack to just build those, and then the rest of it's saved. The rest of the crystals are saved to do the energy refreshes. I do 350s on the regular energy just so I can get my 600 every day because it requires that energy to do it. And I do no refreshes right now in Cantina. And then the energy that I spend there is either on cryotech or on carbantes or on stun cuffs or on stun guns or on something stupid like that. I get a little bit every day. And then I do 3 energy refreshes in mods, and I get my regular energy plus that combined, which is around 600-ish a day. And I normally do 2 runs of 6 to 8 mods for fresh mods, and then the rest goes to slicing materials. Some days I'll focus, like last week I focused solely on Gear 12 pieces, and there was double drops during that period as well. So I was able to get enough to do 10 mods sliced from 5 to 60. So I just focused highly on 1 week on that, just so that way I could benefit greatly from that double drop period of time. But I spend 300 crystals a day in that. Now my Scissorman account is totally different. I spend basically every crystal I earn, and I do 1 refresh in my ship's arena or the ship's currency normally if I can afford it. Sometimes I can't. I always do 3 if I can afford it from Cantina to make sure I get my Cantina characters as fast as possible, which is why I'm beating in speed a lot of people, because I'm earning more crystals, and so I'm able to get these characters faster. And then I do 3 in the ships, or 3 in regular energy, and I do 1 or 2 in mod energy. So I try to refresh every energy at least once, sometimes twice, and a couple of them 3 times. The 2 main energies 3 times. And I can do that because I earn 150 to 200 in arena. I earn 100 to 150 in my dailies. Depends on the day, because sometimes you get given extra stuff through events and or the daily login. And then I get another 400 for ships, because I'm always first in ships. So my geos all the way with Houndstooth is pulling in most of my crystals. So I get anywhere from 700 to 700, 650 to 750 most days. And there's always I always try and keep around 100 crystals in there for refreshes in case I need to do that for arena. But a lot of times I don't need to do that for arena, so I keep those crystals that roll over to the next day. So sometimes I'll get into the 1,000 crystal range, but not often. And when I do, I'll normally spend a couple extra on ship energy because I've got the extra.
All right. Well, that kind of answered Crispy Biscuit's question. He said, question for Warrior, how many sims at a time are you doing on the cryotech? But you kind of covered that with your last answer. Graham's upset that I skipped this question to put in real questions. I'm tired of your troll questions, Graham. And then he's crying to Finity. Okay, good. Oh, God, Finity's in the chat. Well, I think that's about the time where we don't have any more questions. I think it's time to wrap this up. When Finn makes an appearance, it's time to go. So we'll stop it a little bit early today. We only went through 40-plus questions. Jesus. All right, so now's the time we're gonna allow everybody pimp their stuff. We'll close down a little bit earlier today. So Warrior, man, you got a lot of fun stuff going on. You got the Scissorman Warrior account. You got your stuff you're doing at Warrior Presents. Tell the folks a little bit about it.
Yep, so I've got my two channels, Warrior Presents and then my Warriors Roster Reviews. My Warriors Roster Reviews, I've got a roster review hopefully coming out this week, and then I'll have one coming out hopefully next week. And I actually have a bunch that are undisclosed that I got to like open up and actually publish that are sitting on there. I think I got 2 or 3 of them sitting on there that just need published. And then my main account, I do the Scissor Man once a week, live stream minimum. And then I like to do occasional live streams when there's like an off event or something like that. And then when I can, I will do, I'm going to get back into doing regular videos on my main account. We're getting closer, you guys. I know I keep saying that and everybody's like, yeah, whatever, but you guys will want to resubscribe soon because I will have a ton of new content coming out very soon. I have about another week of this month that's going to be a little bit chaotic, and then next month, which starts in like 10 days for me, will be a whole lot less and a lot more laid back. And so I'm looking forward to having some mornings open up, which will give me some time to do some more cool videos and stuff. And I think Team Instinct, like I've said before, is pairing up with a couple alliances. We're going to start to try to spoon feed the community some real basic information, things that a lot of people just aren't getting that they should be getting, especially for Territory Wars Grand Arena. There's been kind of a shift in leadership. I think it used to be very guarded and protected information, but it's not that way anymore. They're more open about it. They actually don't care because at this point, finally, there's been so much at the high end, like 50 guilds going into one guild, and the compression over time of guild eating guild after guild eating guild after guild eating guild, and the highest end, and then the mighty this and the wallet that, and they combine all. Now the top 5 guilds have equally as much GP. The top 5 guilds have equally as much good theory crafters. So there is no secrets anymore at the high end, and the only benefit for keeping those secrets that we would have had, we don't have anymore. So it's best to just put it out there because it actually exposes our opponents and their strategies now as well. So might as well just throw all that out there and help the entire community while we expose all of the the potential things that we're seeing in Grand Arena and stuff. So right. Territory Wars and whatnot. Yeah.
I know you're busy, but whenever you want me to do that roster review, we will do it. So let me know what your schedule is, and we will knock that out for Scissorman Warrior account. So we will get that squared away. But we have to wait for Warrior to have time. Xylo, Stoner Jedi. Tell folks where you can be checked out.
Yeah, check me out on YouTube. Takedown Games, Xylo Takedown. Today is going to be a pretty good day. We're going to have the alt accounts premiere. Made it just in time for Grand Arena Championships on the alt account, so that's going to be a little nutty. And then we'll lead into going into the main account, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be crazy, man. We're gonna have some fun. I'm not stapling a time yet, so just come on, subscribe. We have the Discord too. It's on the About page on the YouTube channel. Come join the Discord. If you have any questions, anything like that, I'm more than happy to help you. Yeah, ready to go, ready to rock and roll this weekend, man.
All right, very nice. So make sure you check out his channel, and do me a favor, guys. Check out these guys' content. They take the time to be here for you guys to answer your questions, to help you with your Star Wars Galaxy Heroes stuff. So all I ask in return is that you just visit their channel, give them a thumbs up, watch some of their content. Support them, support the community. Do the same thing for us. Subscribe, all that good stuff. All the links are down below for a lot of the guests that are not here. You can check out their stuff. Make sure you check out our stuff. For RSG, nothing really going on today. I'll do my Grand Arena tomorrow. There's no D&D tomorrow because Finn's in Chicago. So we won't be doing any D&D tomorrow. So I will do my Grand Arena Championships on Twitch like I have been. We set defenses yesterday. You can go back and watch the Twitch stream on that. So for today, it's going to be relaxing, working on lore videos. So I'll be kind of around. So if you need anything, hit me up in Discord. And if you haven't checked out, we got lore videos out now. So if you haven't checked out the lore videos, please do. The last one we did was Mary J. Skywalker. So go check it out and listen, see what you think. I got a couple I'm working on right now that'll be released next week. So yeah, so a lot of good stuff. But support all these great content creators. They really do a great service for the community. So check out Ward, check out Xylo, check out Operation Metaverse, the Alliance, all that stuff. Just check them out and give them some love. So with that, we're going to end a little bit early today. So on behalf of myself and the Jedi Academy, thank you so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate you guys hanging out with us on your Saturday. It means a lot. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you. For those that want to watch, we'll be... No, I don't think we're doing Pictionary tonight. I don't know if we can, because Finn's, again, in Chicago. So we'll figure out. We'll let you know. So with that, take care, and we will holler at you later. Peace.